Ah, what a journey. So, I just had about an hour's worth of preparation here, trying to get the app ready for Windows development. I started working on this over on Linux, where everything is easy. But when you're dealing with native code, C libraries, that kind of thing, Windows always makes it interesting. So a little bit about what I'm building. Let's see. So today's project is Markhor, which is in support of video games. So kind of a traditional toy app concept is this to-do app kind of thing, which is like a checklist. And so I want to build one with a bunch of content in it for chasing trophies in Metal Gear Solid 3. And so they have this one trophy called King of the Jungle. And the King of the Jungle trophy is identical to when you finish a playthrough of the game, you're awarded a rank, and the rank usually is like the name of an animal of some kind, and Markhor is the rank that corresponds with the achievements or the things that you need to satisfy to get this trophy. And basically, without getting into too much about the game and how it works, it's like the survivalist thing, and so you've got to like capture and potentially eat one of each type of animal and fruit and whatever else. So there's birds, snakes, frogs, mushrooms, all kinds of stuff. And so within a single playthrough of the game, you've got to kind of get each distinct type at least once. And because there's a large number of them, I thought it would be wise to have some kind of a checklist so I can not have to worry about which ones I've gotten and which ones I haven't. Yeah. Yep. So that's what I'm working on. And so for this, I plan on using a combination of Rust libraries. Diesel is a database library, so I'm going to use this to work with SQLite, and this is going to track my progress as I go along. And I'm going to basically put a web API on top of the database using Rocket, which is, I don't know, I guess you could say it looks a little bit like Flask in terms of framework style. I don't know. I have some issues with the way this library works, but it's sort of one of the better options that I've seen so far, in Rust anyway. We'll be taking advantage of the JSON serialization, deserialization pipeline that they have. It utilizes another library which is very good called Serde. So, yep, that's a thing. And so what else? So yeah, in order to get this going, to get various tools and the program itself to link correctly, I needed to download the DLL distribution for SQLite, which comes with so inside the zip file you get the DLL and you get a def file, which I don't know what that is, but I had to convert the def file into a lib file, and then I had to make sure that the DLL and the lib were both in my path and also in the directory where my project lives. And so, yeah, there were a couple of steps there. I had to, in order to convert the def file into a lib file, I had to open up Visual Studio, which is apparently the only way that you can launch a dev command shell. I don't know. The dev command shell has a program called link in its path, and so you can run link on a def file to convert it into a lib. And that's what I did. So, cool. I feel kind of wiped after researching that. I think I pieced it together mostly from this GitHub issue. dieselcli is a command line tool that Diesel supplies for generating migrations and then running them, which I'm going to have to do here in a second. And so he kind of, the poster, oh great. The poster of this issue had figured out some steps to take, and I kind of cobbled together a solution based on what they said. So, thanks. Yeah, it's something that tripped me up a little bit was I didn't know that you could cargo install a crate with a list of features to enable. But more importantly, what I needed was cargo install no default. Yeah. And so this is something that I don't think the help on oh no, I'm wrong. They mention the option right here. So if you do cargo install help, they'll tell you this thing that it took me a long time to learn about. And so the reason why this is important for me, no default features, is Diesel CLI by default has support for a bunch of different database backends. So it supports Postgres, MySQL, I don't know what else, SQLite. And so I had to be sure that everything except for SQLite was disabled, because I didn't want to have to run down all of the DLLs that I would need to put in my path in order to get them to build correctly, especially if I'm not going to use them. So that's what happened there. So yeah, I don't have a great plan for what to get into tonight. I guess the first thing that I would need to do is let's see if I can. Oh, there's no option to. What is this? PowerShell ISE. I just wanted a second window, but... Oh, holy shit. Holy shit, what the fuck is this? Oh my god. This is like, Oh, these are all the command objects, or whatever the hell they're called. Yeah, look at this. It's not what I want. I just want another PowerShell window, and I thought that maybe there was like a new window button somewhere, but that's not true at all. So right. So Diesel, the CLI tool, is meant to be able to process migrations. And so while I was working before, I had it, you basically ask it to generate a new pair of migrations, and you give it a name, and when that happens, it spits out a pair of SQL files in a directory using the name that you had, and I guess this is like a date-time prefix. And so let me tell my IDE about the file that I'm going to be using. Oh. I mean, okay. I don't see a result. It didn't tell me if the test was good or bad, but I guess it's good. Okay. So that's fun. So I can run queries in my IDE, and maybe that'll help somehow. Yeah, so it has pairs of SQL files, an up and a down. The down drops whatever happened in the up, or is meant to reverse it, sort of. One sec. It's like a weird speck on the top of my my chroma key. There we go. All right. Yeah, so with a series of migrations here, with the ups and the downs, I believe that I can run them. So what does that do? Oops. Database URL. Okay, so I have an env file which has my database URL in there. I believe this tool is able to read that. Okay, so uh-oh. God damn it. How does this work? Env. That didn't help at all. Okay, well, what else? All right. So maybe pending was a fluke. Maybe it just doesn't work. So we'll try run. I haven't tested the sequel at all. Oh, okay. That all just happened. Look at that. And so we've got revert and redo. Okay. Oh, now pending works. I wonder what the hell was wrong with it before. So so let's see if everything got in there. This doesn't look healthy at all. Yeah. What do you think the SQLite for showing tables is? Oh, right, yeah. So, naturally, it's select star from DB name. What? DB name. Really? where type equals table. Nothing. I got nothing back. Okay. So there we go. Maybe it just didn't like my my assumed relative path. That could be. So I'll get rid of that. I just hate typing out file paths in Windows. It's like super offensive. So yeah, there we go. Zone is not a thing. Zones, they're okay. Everything's a struggle tonight. I don't know why that is. But that's fine. I don't have anything really in the database yet. And I was thinking that I would drop some stuff in there as part of a new migration. So let's diesel migration new. Generate. So I've got a categories table. And this should be a pretty short list. So I'm looking at stuff we need here. If I remember correctly, this is incomplete, but I'm mainly interested in the categories. So let's see. And don't judge, because I write raw SQL about once or twice a year. So how does this work? I need a list of columns, right? ID and name. I don't know if that's right. Why does it keep asking me this? Maybe I can, I mean, it seems like it should know the dialect because I'm connected to a SQLite database. So Like, what the hell? Like, what options could there possibly be? Global. Is this what I need to do? Okay. So is that I'm going to double check before I because I always need a refresher, right? So SQLite insert into no, I mean, I think I got it right here. Values. No, it's this outer parens, I think. And so if I wanted to try this out, there's got to be like a drop or a truncate. I don't want to drop the table though. I just want to empty it out. I guess I would just delete everything. So delete from which one we were doing, categories. Like that, maybe. Okay, so yeah. So there they are. And if I now revert, they're gone. And if I run again, they're back. Okay, good. And there's nothing weird with the IDs or anything like that. They're using the same consistent IDs that I'm inserting with, which is what I want. SQLite has some weird behavior on the auto increment IDs. There's a row identifier per row that your primary key can either mirror and alias or not. So effectively you end up with two identifier keys per row, which is weird. But yeah, I think the correct way to do this is to list your whatever your primary key field is. If it's an integer, to name it explicitly as a type of integer primary key, all caps. There's some weird case sensitivity, like this is apparently a SQLite quirk. I don't usually use SQLite for anything other than like running tests or that kind of thing. So this was all news to me, but yeah, so back to business. So we've got a step that will remove the data that we put in there, which is great. We're going to be using static keys so that if I really want to, I can insert a bunch of stuff with hard-coded IDs in there. But part of my plan is to basically build out a little data entry interface. Because, yeah, so part of the brief is every item that I will need to pick up. So the collectibles in the collectibles table, each one has a single category that belongs to, and I'm going to use that for filtering on the client side and grouping. Each one has a category, and each one also has a list of zones, and I'm still undecided about exactly how I'm going to manage those lists. I'm feeling like I'm going to have like a comma separated list and a single text field, but the table that goes on is kind of debatable. I'm starting out with an isolated lookup table. So I'm going to have the collectible ID and then just a text field with comma separated values in it, which I will then unpack when I pull that stuff out. It's not a great solution, but that's okay. So this is going to be the first draft. And so, yeah, my main worry is like how to go about populating this field with the comma separated list, and the best way that I can think of is to basically build a little UI where I can enter in the data, and it's probably going to look like a spreadsheet, but the count of the items that I need to kind of go through is not that big. I don't know how many distinct zones there are in the game, but I may have to build a little scraper or something to scrape some Wiki pages in order to learn that. So let's see. Speaking of Wiki pages, and again, I don't know if this is exhaustive, but pulling from here, we've got snakes, birds, medical plants, frogs, and I'm going to skip ahead to fish. Mushrooms, which apparently the original poster of this list missed. Somebody chimed in after the fact. 7. I mean, I guess misc. And this may all need to be revised. I haven't verified the information that I've kind of picked up from all these different weirdo game posts, forum posts. So but I mean, this seems kind of right. MISC is kind of a big list. Japanese flying squirrel. Holy fuck, that's what that was. I remember seeing that the last playthrough that I went through, and yeah, wow. I don't know why vine melon isn't listed under fruit, veg. What is yeah, no, there's meant to be I thought there was meant to be a fruit one. So something on this page is freaking my computer out. It's fucking web ads. Okay, so snake eater food list, because I think that's what this basically boils down to, is food. All right, here we go. Arthropods. What is that? I like this list better, but I disagree with some of these categories. These other foods, some of them I don't think. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, this is kind of weird, and this project is disheartening from the get-go, because a lot of this information I'm getting I don't necessarily trust that much. Oh, okay, so maybe this is actually... Maybe I just needed to make my way to GameFAQs to get the real info, right? Because... So let's compare. Snakes we got, mushrooms, yeah, frogs, birds, fishes, fruits, packaged foods, which I don't think are a part of the trophy. I'm just miscellaneous, but maybe. Food to locations, locations to foods. Yeah, that's data that I need. This is it. I am gonna bookmark the shit out of this. Good info. So this is gonna be some other number. Yeah, I think I'll need to read this whole article and see what they say about what weighs in on the trophy. So like packaged foods, for example. Ah, right. These do not count. Okay, so that's what I thought. Packaged, you're out of there. I want to take a look at the... Oh yeah, look at that. Yeah, this is perfect. I could probably scrape this. Parts of it anyway. Yeah, not bad. This is the biggest win of the stream tonight, is me finally looking at game facts. Holy crap. They always spoil everything. But all right. So, I guess that's my categories table. And so let's see. I'm going to add data migration for item categories. And these DLLs and stuff that I have for the Windows build, nah, I guess I'll drop them in there. I'm probably gonna go to jail for distributing SQLite like this, but worth it. All right, well, short stream. I'm gonna sign off. My shoulder is killing me for some reason. It's been that kind of a week. But we got a table populated, and that's good. Yep. And so next time I will be working on building a REST endpoint that will pull this data out and send it out as a JSON blob. So Rocket has, what do they call it? Something about a guard, request guards. And so I saw an example of using a request guard for database access, and I didn't understand what the mechanic was that they were enforcing. But I think that's probably what I'll be looking at next. I have some of the database stuff set up in the Rust code already. So I have some structs that have fields on them corresponding to the columns in the tables. And then Diesel has this really weird thing where basically this infer schema macro will connect to the database and do like a describe for the tables that are in there, and it'll generate a bunch of code based on the schema reflection that it does right then at compile time. And so I guess the resulting generated code is what you use to run your queries on. So it represents like the table itself, and so you do a filter on that table object, which is kind of like meant to be a collection of rows. And yeah, and all that code is generated at compile time. It just seems really weird. But I guess it's no different than having a system where you model the schema explicitly in your code. Like if you were doing something with Django, the Django arrangement is kind of reversed, where you write your classes for your data model, and then you generate migrations from them. So it's a little different there, but the potential for breakage is the same, I think. So if you run a database migration on your database, Django's going to break because the classes don't line up with what the schema shows. And this is the same thing, except we're generating classes based on schema that already exists. So I don't know. Kind of weird, but I guess it works. We'll find out. Yeah, okay, so this was the example that I found. Get tasks. This is receiving a database connection. Huh. I'm gonna have to look at this more closely and try and remember where I got this snippet from. I suppose I could probably Google for this, and I bet there's only so many people talking about it. State. Right. So part of what they had me set up was a database pool, which is going to be shared with each of the handlers via managed state. And so that's what gets me this is the struct. This lines up with yeah. This entire article is basically where I pulled this from. Okay. So the structs that you pass in as managed state, the type is what identifies it. This is basically dependency injection, Rust style. So yeah, I don't think they talk about query result. They don't say what it is, so I'm gonna have to find out where I can learn more about that. Yeah. Anyway, like I said, my shoulders are killing me, so I'm gonna sign off, and we'll pick up this this database backed endpoint part probably tomorrow sometime. All right. Thanks for watching, and stop by next time when I get tired and upset about some other aspect of programming. Superb.